Hello there, crafty doer. Jessica Michaels here with the weekly project post. For this week's project, I created a very quick and simple mixed media cover for a journal. I repurposed the cereal box for the cover and I bashed my stash. So if you want to see what all that looks like with me, stick around to the end of the video. And also please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the weekly project post. Here's how I went. I use collage sheets from 49 and Market. I love these collage sheets. They're very thin, which makes it easy to work with, easy to manipulate, and easy to tear. This color swatch is called Toast because the colors in this packet are different shades of toast. I also love this color swatch because I can easily add a different color to it if I choose to, but for this project, I kept it toasty. For the outside of the cover, I chose busier designs, whereas the inside, I chose a little more plain designs, only because the outside's what you're gonna see the most. I use Mod Podge to adhere the sheets to the cover, and you'll notice that it's dishwasher safe gloss. The only reason I end up using this Mod Podge for this project is because that's what I have in my stash. And I'm a firm believer of use what you have, bash your stash, and heck, go shopping in your craft room. I promise you, you will be surprised of what you find in there. Not because you're a hoarder, but because, you probably have a lot of stuff like I do, and we forget that it's there. So I set the cover aside to dry, and I grab a piece of scrap black cardstock off my desk and I score it down the middle. I'm going to use this as the spine to my journal. My journal is scored in half, and so I'll be folding it, and it won't really have a wide or thick spine, but this is a detail I wanted to add because this journal was inspired by a beautiful blue mixed media journal created by Jessica over at A Cherry on Top. I'll link them down below. Go check it out. It's so pretty. So I grab a sheet with really pretty butterflies and I tear them out and I start adding it to my spine. Then I add some stencil butter again in Fern using Stampers Anonymous stencil called Speckles. I thought it was just the prettiest little touch of texture and color. I didn't want to chunk it up because I wasn't really sure what I had in mind for this journal, whether I wanted to carry it with me or have it on my shelf, but either way, I didn't want to chunk it up too much. So I wanted to add some depth to the edges of the torn paper, and I watered down some vintage photo ink on my glassworking surface, and I was impatient and didn't let the stencil butter dry, so I accidentally smeared some of it on the black cardstock. No big deal. I ended up getting spray stain in vintage photo instead and watering that down to add the depth to the edges of the torn paper, and I think it worked out beautifully. To add a little more mixed media and another layer of beautifulness, I use Dina Wakley's gloss spray in white. This has become my go-to for splattering. I highly recommend that product. I set it aside to dry and go back to my cover, and I noticed that on the inside you can see the cereal box coming through the sheets. That's how thin these sheets are. No big deal. I grabbed the rest of the spray stain that was on my glassworking surface to cover it up, and I love what it ends up doing. Besides covering it up, it adds a little bit more vintage to it. I do the same with the front cover, but I started experimenting with the edges because I thought maybe I just want to add a little, vintage vibes to the edges. So I know I do want to use a spray stain, so I go with that. And I ended up picking this paintbrush that just wasn't cutting it for me. And I end up getting a little eager and impatient, and I just end up diving my fingers right into it and just smearing the spray stain all over the cover. I love it. I love the way it ended up looking and made the whole thing just super, super vintage. It worked out. But I was so eager to get into this mixed media project because I had hit a creative wall I think it was just the hustle and bustle of the holidays. I lost focus. And when that happens, I just need to take some time to spend with the things and the people that matter most. And I did that. I took some time, in the word, in prayer and worship. And then usually when I do that, joy follows. So I was so grateful to and excited to just be back doing a little mixed media. So anyways, I grabbed the spine, and to fix that oopsie from earlier, I end up watering down some stencil butter and adding it to the rest of the black cardstock. And it added this really pretty green shimmer, which I absolutely love. I go to 49 and Market for their Curator Meadow Ephemera bits and pick out my favorites. And I use Vintage Photo to ink blend the edges and then just some of the surfaces too, just to make everything cohesive and of course vintage looking. I just kind of, fiddle around a little bit with the placement. And once I like the placement, I use art glitter glue to adhere everything down. These pieces are really cool. They're very thick. And so I love this glue for it. It's your like commercial industrial type glue. So it adheres very, very well. I created a mixed media prompt sheet free for you to download on my brand new website. I'll link it down below. This just kind of helped my mojo go. So if you ever hit a creative wall, if you're just looking something new to play with, or ever want to try mixed media but don't know where to start, I highly, highly recommend that prompt. Let me know if you end up using it. So to close off my journal here, finish it off, I watered down some stencil butter in a black tie to splatter. And then I use Tim Holtz Ideology adornments, this cute little butterfly, precious little butterfly. And I actually ended up just hot gluing that. It did bring more dimension to the journal than I wanted. So I end up going for pink fresh metallic pearls to continue or expand the dimension onto the rest of the cover, and also the metallics onto the rest of the cover. To put it all together, I hole punch the cover and just use plain old copier paper, hole punch that. And then in my stash, I grab some really pretty green twine and then loop it through the holes and tie it all together. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below, how should I use this journal? It's quick, it's simple, but I have a journal now. I had a few ideas like a prayer journal or a positive affirmations journal, just because of where the inspiration came to me for this journal. Let me know. As always, the supply list for the products I used in this project are in the description box below. I appreciate it when you use those links to make any purchases, as I do earn a small commission from my recommendation of those products to you. Please head over to my rebranded brand new website, JessicaMichaelsCreativeDesigns.com, for more photos of this and other projects, as well as freebies and that mixed media prompt I was talking to you about. Remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You belong, even if paper crafting isn't your thing.